What's up, people? Welcome back to Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. I hope everyone is doing well on this Thursday evening. I'm feeling particularly positive. Obviously, we've had a bit of a strange day with all of this PSG talks with Rasmus Højlund, but we have got lots and lots to get into on the show. As always, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel if you're new. And let's jump on straight into it. Now, obviously, anybody who missed the show earlier, we did have the story coming out around Rasmus Højlund that apparently PSG had put in an offer of 50 million euros. This was coming out from Fabrizio Romano, David Ornstein. It was coming out from all of the top people. Already everyone said, Kieran, why have they offered less than what we've had? Ultimately, Manchester United had reportedly offered 60 million. They offered 50 and said they wouldn't pay any more. Very, very strange. I didn't really get it, to be completely honest with you, and it didn't really worry me too much. But we have had some more clarity come out in the last kind of 10 minutes or so from Fabrizio Romano, from the man himself, and Fabrizio has said the following. He says the only way that Rasmus Højlund joins PSG is if the deal to Manchester United collapses. The deal to Manchester United is absolutely on and is absolutely advanced. So there's two very key words there, guys. Fabrizio is using the words advanced and on. Those are the two words he's using right now. I think there is full confidence from all different corners that this deal for Rasmus Højlund to Manchester United will happen. And the only small chance that PSG have at this point of signing the player is if Manchester United somehow don't manage to put it off. Because ultimately, he wants to come to Manchester United. He agreed personal terms back in May. And as Fabrizio Romano has just said in the last couple of minutes, you'll see the quote at the bottom of your screen if you want to read it for yourself. The exact quote is absolutely on and is absolutely advanced. So it's two very, very positive words there. The deal for Rasmus Højlund is advanced and it is on. And as Fabrizio says, the only way that Rasmus Højlund won't join Manchester United is ultimately if the deal collapses. The only way the deal collapses is if we don't agree a fee with Atalanta, but already we're ahead of PSG because we've offered more money. So I'm feeling very, very positive about this one now, guys. I think it is a matter of when, not if. I was a little bit concerned earlier when this PSG links came out. I thought, are they going to offer ridiculous amounts of money? Are they going to try and, outbid us? But it doesn't look like that's going to happen. And since this story came out, we've literally had every single bit of UK media. We've had the BBC, we've had The Athletic, we've had Manchester Evening News. Every different journalist you could possibly imagine has got this same bit of information from Manchester United that ultimately they're very, very confident that they will sign the player and they're confident that he will be at the club before the start of the Premier League season. Laurie Whitwell says the following on this transfer. He says Manchester United have already mapped out exactly how Rasmus Højlund will fit into their squad and believe that the player will join before the start of the Premier League season, which is obviously in about 2 weeks' time. So it does look like this deal is progressing. It does look like PSG are now out of the race, which is very, very, very positive. Obviously, everybody wants those, here we go, want the done deal. But at this point, this is all I can bring to you. All I can tell you is that what I can see from Fabrizio, that the deal is advanced and the deal is on. So that's the most important thing at the end of the day, guys. The deal is advanced, the deal is on. Obviously, we put in a bid yesterday. Fabrizio does say that there is more talks planned for this week. So apparently Manchester United will speak with Atalanta again this week and a new bid will be submitted. So yeah, I don't know exactly how much that bid will be for. Obviously, Atalanta reportedly want around 70 million euros for the player. So I do expect that it will be around that sort of price range, to be completely honest. Fabrizio says, I understand that Manchester United have now scheduled new talks with Atalanta for Højlund. It will happen this week after the 60 million euros package bid. Manchester United remain favourites after a 5-year deal is already agreed. Players priority. PSG are pushing, but current bid falls short of Atalanta's expectations. So I do expect that we'll probably have these talks either later tonight or tomorrow, and we should get the here we go from Fabrizio probably tomorrow evening, I think, at this rate. But do let me know in the comment section, when do you think we'll get the here we go from Fabrizio? Do you think it'll be tonight? Do you think it'll be tomorrow? I would say I'm 90% sure at this stage that we'll get Rasmus Højlund, to be completely honest with you, because the only other rival was PSG. They'd offered less than us and said they weren't willing to pay any more. So I don't really see how this deal could collapse. He wants to come to Manchester United. He's agreed personal terms. There isn't really any reason why this deal can't happen, to be completely honest with you. And something really, really key here is that there's another story coming out saying that apparently Rasmus Højlund intends to respect his contractual agreement with Manchester United. If United agree a deal with Atalanta, Højlund will join them. PSG are hoping that Manchester United don't succeed. So literally, the only way this doesn't happen is if somehow Manchester United mess it up. Rasmus wants to move. He doesn't want to go to PSG. He wants to come to Manchester United. We've already agreed personal terms. Every different journalist says the only way he doesn't join and goes to PSG is if we mess it up somehow. And there was something I wanted to bring into the show really, really quickly that I thought was quite interesting. So Samuel Luckhurst in the Manchester Evening News is reporting the following, that apparently Manchester United plan to play Marcus Rashford as a centre-forward in certain games this season to ease Rasmus Højlund's adaptation to English football. So it does look like Rashford will be used as a striker this season, which I don't have a massive issue about. We did do a whole video on this topic earlier on today, and I did say I prefer him on the left, but obviously if he's going to play on the right, if he's going to play down the middle, then it is what it is. I know a lot of you in the chat really, really want another striker, don't you? A lot of people are saying, Kieran, I don't just want Rasmus Højlund, we need 2 strikers, we need 3 strikers. Which I do agree with you. I think a club of our level needs probably 2 or 3 strikers. You know, if you look at Manchester City, they've got Erling Haaland and they've got Alvarez. We need a world-class striker and then someone like Rasmus Højlund. So I do agree we need another striker, but at the moment, let's just focus on one deal at a time. Let's try and stay positive about this one. We can't ask for too much in this exact moment. We've got to get this one deal over the line first, and then we can start thinking about a second striker, can't we? Because at this stage, we still don't even have Rasmus Højlund. So we've just got to focus on this one deal. Hopefully we can get this one over the line. We've got 200 people in the chat already. Please do smash a like on the video really, really quickly if you haven't already. And please do subscribe to the channel if you are new. We're about 50 subscribers away from 6,800. So let's see if we can hit 6,800 by the end of the video. Make sure to go and smash a like and make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel. Right, let's carry on with the Rasmus Højlund story a little bit. We've got a few more bits of news to bring you since we spoke earlier on. Fabrizio has again confirmed that Rasmus Højlund is giving 100% priority to Manchester United since day one of this deal. No changes. The deal is up to Manchester United. So any stories you've seen coming out saying that apparently he wants to join PSG or he's agreed personal terms with PSG, he wants to come to Manchester United. That is very, very clear. The only way this deal doesn't happen is if somehow Manchester United mess it up, which I think is quite unlikely at this stage. We'll probably settle at around 70 million euros, which is about 60 million pounds, which I'm happy with. I am at this point. If we pay 50 million up front plus 10 in add-ons, I would take that any day of the week. But yeah, so again, there's literally 2 or 3 journalists all saying in the last couple of minutes that Manchester United are now closing in. They're in advanced talks, and they do believe that ultimately Manchester United and Atalanta will either be sitting down later today or tomorrow. And this deal will get over the line, it will, and we can then just start talking about the positives about Rasmus Højlund, and we won't just be stuck in this saga, which can get a bit frustrating, and it does get a bit draining, doesn't it, when you're just talking about the same players over and over again. And I appreciate that it can be a bit frustrating, but that's just how it is supporting Manchester United, unfortunately. I mean, think about being a Chelsea fan with Caicedo. Imagine how frustrated the Chelsea fans must be. They've been putting in bids for Caicedo for God knows how long. But something really, really positive is apparently Laurie Whitwell is saying that Manchester United are already planning out exactly how Rasmus Højlund will fit into the squad. So Ten Hag is relying on this player coming in, okay? He's already planning out his season with the expectation that Rasmus Højlund will be at the club, which is exactly what you want. It really, really is. It would take an absolute miracle not a miracle, it would take an absolute disaster to for this deal to fall through at this point, in my opinion. I don't see how it can fall through, but obviously you do have PSG breathing down your neck, so if they do mess it up somehow, he will probably go to PSG. But at the end of the day, we'll offer what they want. We'll give them the 70 million euros, and the deal will be done. So again, as I said, I think it's a matter of when, not if, for this deal. I do think we'll get the here we go probably either today or tomorrow. Obviously, we will go live for that. So as soon as we do, we will go live. So make sure you are subscribed. And let's move on to actually one more thing before we move on from Rasmus Højlund. There was a story coming out today from Samuel Luckhurst, which I thought was really, really interesting. Samuel Luckhurst obviously writes for the Manchester Evening News, and he is reporting the following. Manchester United won't have to sell any players to buy Rasmus Højlund. The 120 million budget for the summer is believed to reflect a net spend. Okay, this is really important. Listen to this bit. Is to reflect net spend, so the fee could be offset by summer/winter transfer sales. So we're going to talk about this a little bit at length, actually, because everyone was saying financial fair play, but apparently it's within a calendar year. So even if we don't sell players now, we could spend, say, 200 million now, even if we're only allowed to spend 120, as long as we then sell players in January, if that makes sense. So just to try and explain it a little bit better, Laurie Whitwell has said the following. For the financial fair play, United can sell later, including January, for the accounting year. So anybody who's saying we need to sell now to buy players, that's actually incorrect. We've had 2 journalists come out today saying that they've ultimately contradicted what the kind of line from Manchester United has been for the past kind of month or so, that there is financial play. It is this real thing. It's not some mythical beast that nobody's ever seen. Financial fair play does exist, but apparently Manchester United can sell later. Because a financial year is April to April, okay? So Manchester United have got up to April next year to pretty much balance their books. So in January, if they've spent too much in the summer, they could sell players. Does that make sense? So it is a bit stupid, to be completely honest with you. Like, why is this coming out today? Just as we're about to put in a bid for a player that apparently, ultimately, we can spend more money, because we don't actually need to balance the books until April next year. And again, this is coming out from Laurie Whitwell, who's a journalist I really, really like, and it's coming out from Samuel Luckhurst as well. It's coming out from two very, very credible journalists. These aren't kind of tabloid rubbish journalists. Ultimately, the general sense of it is that financial fair play does exist. It is real, but Manchester United don't have to sell now. It says they can sell including in January for the accounting year, which is April to April. So we've got up to April next year in order to balance the books. If our net spend has to be 120 million, then, we can do that. If it means that, Maguire doesn't leave until transfer deadline day, it doesn't matter. We can spend the money now if we have it. And as you guys know, I think we have around £200 million on the company credit card. So there is money available for us to spend right now. So any of these stories coming out saying we can't spend the money, we can't get another striker because of financial fair play, that's just been completely discredited by two journalists who, to be honest with you, I trust more than Manchester United, ultimately saying that the way the financial fair play works is it has to be done within a tax year. A tax year is April to April, right? So if we spent 200 million now and we were only allowed to spend 120, as long as we sell 80 million pounds worth of players by April next year, we would be fine within the financial fair play rules. So it is a bit strange, and it does make me beg the question of why are we not looking at Harry Kane as well? And there is actually a story about Harry Kane that I wanted to bring to you guys really, really quickly. Just a quick one. We've got over 350 people watching already. Please do make sure to smash a like on the video really, really quickly, guys. And please do subscribe to the channel if you're new. We're about 40 subscribers now away from 6,800. So go and subscribe if you haven't already, and please do hit the notification bell. But yeah, let's talk about Harry Kane. There's somebody in the chat saying, what about Harry Kane then? So there's this story coming out from the Telegraph, again, a newspaper I quite like, saying that Manchester United would not have to sell to buy Rasmus Højlund. However, they are expected to fetch enough through sales before the close of the window that a bid for Harry Kane would not be unreachable. So ultimately, we could have gone in for Harry Kane. We could have. That's what the story is coming out today, ultimately saying that we don't need to sell the players right now. We can sell the players in January. As long as the people go eventually, it doesn't matter. So it is a bit strange, isn't it, why we've been briefed this by the press for the last, 2 or 3 months, that Manchester United are on this really strict budget. They have to do it within this summer. They can only spend 120 million this summer, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's just gone on and on and on, isn't it, with this financial fair play? Everywhere we look, they go on about financial fair play. But this story that's come out today has pretty much just discredited it, saying that it does exist, but we've got until April next year. Yeah, so it is a bit strange, it is, but hopefully this kind of puts us in a better position, and hopefully, hopefully we can get some more players in now, because they can't say that financial fair play is an issue. They can't, because this has just been completely discredited by two journalists who I really respect and trust. So yeah, anyway, let me know what you think about that one. I have always thought financial fair play was a bit fishy, to be completely honest with you. Like, when you see Manchester City doing what they're doing, you always do wonder what the kind of finite rules are of financial fair play. You see Chelsea spend 500 million in one year, and then people say Manchester United, the biggest club in the world, can only spend 100. You're thinking, that doesn't really add up, does it? So I'm glad that somebody, one of these popular UK journalists, one of the main journalists, has come out and actually kind of discredited it and say, financial fair play does exist, but they have until April to sell the players next year. So yeah, I do think it's quite interesting. But let's move on to something else now, guys. Let's talk about Fred. We do have an update for you on Fred. So it all started with this. Fabrizio Romano tweeted, I think it was about 24 hours ago, saying that Galatasaray remain keen on signing Fred as priority target, as revealed 2 weeks ago. Fabrizio goes on to say that Fred will leave Manchester United this summer. So that was the starting point of this kind of conversation, right? We had that. And then today we've had 3 different Turkish journalists all coming out. The first one says Fred has agreed personal terms with Galatasaray. The second one says negotiations between Galatasaray and Manchester United for Fred are expected to be completed soon. And then the third one says Galatasaray are expected to announce the signing of Fred shortly. So it does look like Fred will be leaving the club. That's all but been confirmed by Fabrizio Romano. And it does look like his next destination will be Galatasaray. Which, to be honest with you, I think that's a really, really good move for Fred. I do. They're in the Champions League. They've obviously just signed Wilfried Zaha. They'll probably win the Turkish league every single season. Yeah, I think it's a good deal. I hope in the bottom of my heart that we get a good amount of money for him, okay? If we get 10 million for Fred, I think that's an absolute joke. I really, really do. So let's keep our fingers and toes crossed that we get at least 15 to 20 million pounds for Fred. But it does look like he will be moving to Galatasaray. Obviously, at this point, we don't know exactly what the bid is or what the deal's worth. There was 3 bids that they put in, 5, 7 and 10, all of which were rejected. So I assume it's going to be more than 10 million euros. But again, we don't know at this point exactly how much Galatasaray will pay. I think it'll be somewhere between 10 and 20 million pounds is my prediction. Maybe plus some add-ons. But yeah, at the end of the day, Turkish clubs don't have massive amounts of money. So they're not going to be paying ridiculous amounts of money. They're not going to pay us 20 million, I doubt. But it does look like he will be going, which is the most important thing. His wages off the book. It's a player who's never going to play. Get him out of the club. I wish him all the best. He did do some really good games for us. He really, really did. I think he was thrown under the limelight a bit when it was him and McTominay. I think, all of the bad press was put on him when actually McTominay was probably the reason why they were kind of labelled as very, very bad. But anyway, it looks like Fred will be going. I think anything from 10 to 20 million. 10 would be a joke, but I would probably take it at this point. I think 20 would be a fair price, but we will keep you updated on that one. We have got some news on Donny van de Beek, and we have got a bit of an update on the sale list for you guys on what kind of players are available for sale this summer. So this is coming out from, what's his name? Let me just get the journalist's name quickly. I can't remember where he writes for. All right, here we go. So he writes for the Times in the UK. His name's Paul Hurst. Again, quite a good journalist in the UK, and he is reporting the following. The Manchester United are set to boost their transfer budget with several sales. Fred, Donny van de Beek, Scott McTominay, Harry Maguire, Dean Henderson and Eric Bailly are all available for sale. So as it stands, guys, all of those people are up on the transfer market. Five of those players, Eric Bailly, Dean Henderson, Harry Maguire, Scott McTominay, Donny van de Beek and Fred. Now, I want you to let me know in the comments section, out of those players, how many do you think will actually end up leaving the club? From them, I'd say Fred will go. I think Donny will go. I think Scott McTominay will go, who we will be talking about in a little while. I think Dean Henderson will go, and I think Eric Bailly will go. The only question mark is Harry Maguire, but we do have an update for you on the Harry Maguire situation as well. There's been quite a lot of news coming out today around outgoings at the club, which is, of course, really, really positive because we do want to see people leave this club because that ultimately means we can spend money. That's what we want to do, isn't it? We want to bring in new players and get rid of the players who we no longer want. So let's talk about Harry Maguire really, really quickly. So this came out in the last kind of 10 minutes or so. So apparently this is coming from Sky Sports in the UK. Apparently West Ham are in talks with Manchester United over Harry Maguire. They're still in talks with them. They want the player. I think they offered a loan move to begin with, but which Manchester United rejected. But it does look like West Ham are pushing for Harry Maguire. A really, really good move for Harry. I think if he goes there, he would do really, really well. He would still have European football. He'll be in the Europa League. I think West Ham would be a great move for him. So let's just hope that Harry Maguire uses his head and thinks, right, I'm going to go to West Ham. I'm going to go and get first team football and I'm going to cement my place in that England squad for the Euros next summer. Because if he stays at Manchester United, he will not be in the England squad, I don't think. I think he will be removed. I think there's plenty of other kind of, centre-backs who deserve a space over Harry Maguire in the England squad. I know some of you guys aren't English, but obviously I'm English, so I do keep an eye on the England squad. And from what Gareth Southgate has said about Harry Maguire, he really, really likes the player. He's never put a foot wrong for England, but ultimately, if he doesn't play this season, he won't be in the England squad. And you know that Harry Maguire does want to, he does want to play for England. He does. But yeah, let me know on that one. Do you think Harry Maguire will move to West Ham? I think he will, to be completely honest with you. And West Ham are also circling for another one of our players. West Ham are... Again, this is coming out from a UK journalist saying that West Ham are eager to bring Scott McTominay to the club. David Moyes rates him highly and has made it clear that he wants him. There is currently a gap in valuation, but West Ham hope Manchester United soften their stance. So apparently Manchester United want around £40 million for McTominay. Ultimately, West Ham aren't willing to pay that type of money. I think they want to pay around £30 million. Again, I do think this deal could happen. I think Scott McTominay and Harry Maguire going to West Ham, they'll both start every single game, in my opinion. They'll both still be paid well. They can go there. They can play European football. Let's be honest, guys. West Ham are a respectable club. I know people think like they're a mid-table club, but West Ham have a lot of history, okay? They are a really, really respectable club. Like, no offence to someone like Luton, but it's not like you move into Luton, who's probably only been in the Premier League this year, I think. Don't quote me on that, but West Ham are a Premier League club, you know what I mean? They don't really ever get relegated. I know they nearly got relegated last season, but that was quite rare for them. They're usually kind of in the top 10, aren't they, in the Premier League? And they're always a difficult team to play. So let's hope that these two deals do happen, because that will free up a massive amount of money. Even if we only got 10 to 20 for Maguire and say 30 for McTominay, that's an extra 50 million in the bank, guys. So that's really, really positive. And as I said, two different people coming out today. One saying, Sky Sports, saying that Harry Maguire is still of interest to West Ham, and they're currently in talks with Manchester United. So, yeah, it just depends whether Harry Maguire wants to leave or not. That's the black and white of it. If Harry's like, no, I'm not leaving, I'm staying, you can't get rid of me, then we do have an issue, don't we? But we have to wait and see, really. We have to wait and see what Harry Maguire's stance is on this. Hopefully, he picks the right decision. Hopefully, he leaves the club, and I wish him all the best. I never wish any bad ship on any of our players. Right, we've got 500 people in the chat now, guys. Absolutely massive. Big ups to everybody. Please do make sure to smash a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're about 30 subscribers away from 6,800 now, guys, so go and subscribe if you haven't already. Let's see if we can hit that goal by the end of this video today. Right, let's talk about Dean Henderson. We're rattling through all the news, as we always do, and we will read out some of your questions later on into the show, so do make sure to get your questions in, and I will come back to them a little bit further on. So we've got two different stories coming out from two different journalists, ultimately saying that Nottingham Forest are about to agree a deal for Dean Henderson. It will be a loan with an option to buy. We don't know how much the option to buy is going to be, but I would guess it will probably be around £20 million is my guess. So just to confirm, it will be a loan, but there'll be an obligation to buy, sorry, not an option. They will have to buy him. So yeah, it's not really the deal I wanted to do. I did hope that Dean Henderson would go on a permanent deal and we'd get the cash in now. But ultimately, this is probably better than nothing. As long as the obligation to buy is strict and they have to pay it, it's not like, oh, if he makes 20 appearances or anything like that. It has to be you have him for one season and then you have to buy. There isn't any kind of, middle ground with that. It has to be strict. It has to be firm. So, of course, as soon as we get the 100% confirmation on that, we will bring it to you. But it does look like Dean Henderson is edging closer to his move to what's it called? Nottingham Forest. So yeah, again, I wish him all the best. He's not good enough for Manchester United, but I do hope he goes on and does well. Just a really quick one as well. Apparently, the Anthony Elanga to Nottingham Forest deal is actually worth as much as £20 million, including add-ons, which is really, really good. If someone had said to me at the beginning of the transfer window, you'd get 20 million for Elanga, I would have said you're a joker. I would have not believed you. But apparently the deal is worth 15 plus a further 5 in add-ons. And apparently these add-ons are actually achievable. So it's like appearances, etc., etc. So yeah, it does look like the Elanga deal will actually get us around £20 million, albeit only 15 up front and then 5 in add-ons. But as I said, the add-ons are reportedly quite achievable. They're not unrealistic ones. It's not like Anthony Elanga has to win the Ballon d'Or. It's nothing stupid like that. It's realistic ones, stuff that Manchester United do feel that they can kind of, count on. So it does look like we will get the full 20 million for Elanga. Obviously not all at once. It'll be some in the kind of future years. There was one thing I wanted to bring into the show really, really quickly. Now, I know this obviously isn't a PSG or a Harry Kane show, but just to give everyone a bit of peace of mind as well around the Hojlund situation. There's a story coming out from Sky Sports that apparently PSG are looking to enter the race for Harry Kane. Obviously, Bayern Munich are the ones leading the race at the moment for Kane. Obviously, we have interest in Kane, but apparently PSG are looking to enter the race for Harry Kane. Obviously, they put in this bid for Rasmus Højlund, which was never gonna, they were never gonna get him for 50 million euros. But they are now turning their attention to Harry Kane, which is very, very interesting. I can't see Harry Kane at PSG, to be completely honest with you. I think Bayern Munich is maybe even a bit of a stretch, but might happen. But yeah, apparently PSG are now in the race for Harry Kane. This is what Sky Sports are reporting this afternoon. So yeah, hopefully that clears the way for us to get the people we need, because yeah, we need to bring him in. We've got a bit of an update on Anthony Martial as well. This is coming out from Jamie Jackson, who I believe writes for The Athletic, if I'm not mistaken. So Jamie Jackson is talking about Anthony Martial, and he says that Erik ten Hag does not feel like he can rely on Anthony Martial because of how injury prone he is. This has put the striker's future in the balance, although Ten Hag is impressed with what Martial can offer when he is fit. So there's another story here coming out ultimately that Erik ten Hag is not happy with what's he called, Anthony Martial's injury record. he does think that probably he needs to move on because he can't rely on him. He comes on the pitch for 20 minutes and then gets injured, doesn't he? Every single match. So he definitely cannot be relied on, unfortunately. But yeah, hopefully Anthony Martial leaves as well. Hopefully he goes to Saudi Arabia. As we said a couple of days ago, apparently there's 2 or 3 clubs in Saudi Arabia who are circling for Anthony Martial, let's call it. And let's just hope he gets his move. Let's just hope that happens because, you know, he's on ridiculous money at Manchester United. I don't ever see him becoming a first-team player again for us. I don't think that will happen, to be completely honest. There's some breaking news, actually. This isn't obviously Manchester United news, but we have spoken about this player, and I know a lot of you really, really want to see this player at Manchester United. So apparently, coming from Fabrizio Romano, Chelsea have just submitted a new bid for Moises Caicedo for 93 million euros, and apparently it was immediately rejected by Brighton. Absolutely crazy. So anybody who just missed that, I know this isn't a Chelsea channel, but Chelsea have submitted a bid of 93 million euros for Moises Caicedo, and it's been rejected by Brighton. They won't even accept 93. They want 100 million pounds. Absolutely crazy, isn't it? And to be honest with you, I am pretty glad that we didn't enter the race for Caicedo. I really, really am, because 93 million euros, I'm not sure about that one, to be completely honest with you, especially when we're looking to get Amrabat for around 25 to 30 million. I think that is definitely one to avoid. But let me know in the comment section, what do you think about that? 93 million euro bid for Moises Caicedo has been rejected by Brighton from Chelsea. Absolutely mental money. And then, you know, it makes me think, like, if we get Amrabat for 25 million pounds or euros, I'm not saying Amrabat's as good as Caicedo, because obviously he isn't, but I would much rather at this point get Amrabat for about 25 million than what's it called? Yeah, Moises Caicedo, 93 million euros, and they've just rejected it immediately as well. It wasn't even like they considered it. Apparently they rejected it immediately on the spot. There wasn't even any room for negotiation. They just said, no, we want more than that. We're not accepting it. Goodbye. Absolutely mental. And I'm very, very glad. Yeah, it literally says the 93 million euro bid was rejected immediately by Brighton. Crazy. I'm so glad we're not in that race, to be completely honest with you, because, you know, at the end of the day, ever since Declan Rice moved to Arsenal, anybody who plays in the Premier League who's a midfielder, they're now going to want 100 million pounds for. It is really, really dangerous, isn't it? Because, like, as soon as you get one of these massive transfers at a club, everything goes to pot. It does, because everybody says, well, Declan Rice was 100 million, we want 100 million. And that's why I'm quite glad that we're going into the kind of the Italian market. We're going into, we'll have got 3 players from Italy, won't we? We'll have Onana, Rasmus Højlund and Amrabat in theory. So we are going into the markets where ultimately, to be blunt about it, the Italian clubs need money more than Premier League clubs do, okay? Brighton can literally say, pay us 100 million or no. They don't need to sell him. The Premier League clubs make so much money from TV revenue, from all the rest of it, that they can literally just say no. Whereas, you know, we go and knock on the door of Fiorentina for Amrabat, 26 years of age, and they want 25 million for him. I mean, it's literally happy days, isn't it? Really, really good. But yeah, I thought I'd just bring that one into the show really, really quickly, because I know a lot of you in the chat were really, really excited about Caicedo. But for me personally, I would not go anywhere near Caicedo for 100 million pounds. That is absolutely mental money. Yeah, no way. Not hope in hell. We've got over 500 of you in the chat now. Absolutely amazing. Please do make sure to smash a like on the video really, really quickly, guys. And please do subscribe to the channel. We're now 22 subscribers away from 6,800. So do go and subscribe really, really quickly and hit the notification bell. Let's see if we can achieve that by the end of the video. That'll be a massive, massive achievement for the channel. So yeah, do get involved if you haven't already. But yeah, I'm just to kind of summarize on that little bit, I'm definitely glad that we're dodging Caicedo 100%. Ridiculous money. 93 million euros. I mean, if we get Amrabat for 25 million euros and Caicedo goes for more than 93, that is absolutely nuts. I know Caicedo has a higher ceiling. I know he's younger. I know he probably is a better player or is a better player. But still, that is absolutely mental, isn't it? It really, really is. So as much as we slag off Manchester United, I am glad in some ways that we haven't spent all summer trying to get Caicedo and then end up spending 100 million pounds on him. Because that's what Chelsea are going to do. Chelsea will spend 100 million on Caicedo. I guarantee it. They will. It will drag on and on and on and on, and they'll end up spending the money. Right, and we have got a bit of news on Amrabat as well. I know we just mentioned him really, really quickly. So in relation to Amrabat, this is coming out from Fabrizio Romano in the last hour. Fabrizio says that Manchester United have spoken to Sofian Amrabat's agent. The sales of Fred and Donny van de Beek are crucial for this transfer. So ultimately, Manchester United do want Amrabat. There is concrete talks there. It's not kind of made up by the Italian journalist. 100% Manchester United have interest. They're speaking to his agent. They're speaking to him directly. But the sale sorry, the purchase is dependent on sales. As we said earlier on in the show, Fred looks like he's going to leave the club. Most likely destination is Galatasaray at this point. Donny van de Beek has gone quite quiet at the moment, but there is a lot of stories saying that he might go back to Ajax. So, yeah, it's a bit of a weird one because obviously if anybody joined the show late, two different journalists today said that ultimately financial fair play is real, but Manchester United don't need to balance the books until April next year, okay? So if they say we need to sell to buy, I actually think that's not true because that's just been completely discredited. The issue is they have to sell, but it doesn't have to be now. Does that make sense? So you could go and get Amrabat as long as you then plan to sell Fred and Donny. But you don't have to sell them first. So that is a little bit strange, to be completely honest with you. And now that we actually know the truth about how the financial fair play works, it does kind of open my eyes a little bit because I'm like, well, we've been told all summer that we have to sell to buy. We have to sell to buy. But that's just been completely discredited today. So when this story comes out saying, you know, Manchester United want Amrabat, they're speaking to his agent, but they've got to sell Fred and Donny. Well, no, they don't, because we have until April next year to balance our books. So even if we don't sell them this transfer window, as long as we sell them in January, you know? So I don't know. I'm a little bit unsure about that one, to be completely honest with you. Yeah, a little bit confused about how Manchester United think we're stupid enough to kind of to not understand how it works, and all it takes is one journalist who we trust to, you know, to read the information, and now we're kind of being told that the financial fair play thing is true, but you know, they have until April next year ultimately to balance the books. Very, very strange. But there is a bit of positivity around Amrabat. This is coming out from two different platforms in the UK today, saying that Sofian Amrabat is very keen on a move to Manchester United. So ultimately, Amrabat wants to come here. He wants to come to Manchester United. That's you know, there's no doubt about that whatsoever. Yeah, it looks like he will come. But Fabrizio says we need to sell players, which I honestly think that's been briefed by the club. I think the club have put out this brief saying that we still need to sell to buy. We still need to sell to buy, because put it this way, right? Imagine if we signed Sofian Amrabat and Rasmus Højlund this week, okay? I'm telling you now, not a single one of you in this chat will sit there and say, oh, that's great, the transfer window's over. We're going to want more, aren't we? If we get Amrabat and Rasmus Højlund this week, I'm going to be saying we need another striker, aren't we? You know? But how the Glazers like to do it, how Manchester United have always liked to do it, they like to spread out their transfers, okay? They never sign kind of 3 players at the beginning of the transfer window, because they know that the fans will then say, okay, well, now that we've got those 3 players over the line, we need to look at a second striker. We need to look at a second centre-back. Do you see what I'm saying? They always, over history, over the last kind of 10 or so years, they spread out the transfers throughout the whole summer. They ultimately generate engagement. I know I'm kind of guilty of that. They're generating engagement. We're all talking about Rasmus Højlund. We're all talking about Amrabat. And it kind of deters away from the actual real problem at hand, which is the Glazers. You know, when in theory, they could have gone and got all this business done right at the very beginning of the transfer window. But if they did that, we'd be all sat here saying, okay, they've done well, but we need to go and sign Harry Kane. You know? But by them dragging it out, we're just talking about Rasmus Højlund and Amrabat over and over again. And then before you know it, the transfer window will be closed and they'll say, oh, we really wanted to get Harry Kane, but it just wasn't possible. I mean, why is it not possible? Anyway, that's my take on it. I know a lot of people I speak to, Manchester United fans, always say the same, that ultimately they just drag the stuff on and on and on and on, because ultimately they know that if they signed all these players quickly, Manchester United fans will be sat here saying, what's next? You know? We need another striker. We need another centre-back. And ultimately, by dragging it out, it means that they can kind of get away with it. So, yeah. There's a little bit of a story here. I know most of you probably don't care about this one particularly, but Will Fish, the really, really talented centre-back who has come through the youth academy, has just signed for Hibernian in the Scottish League on loan. So Will Fish has gone out on loan. I know quite a few people. I know quite a few people in the chat have said, like, oh, I think he's a good player. I think he could play for Manchester United one day. But yeah, he has gone out on loan to Hibernian in the Scottish League. So let's wish him all the best. Let's hope he goes and has a really, really good time on loan. And let's hope that one day he breaks into the Manchester United team, because, yeah, why not? It's always nice to have youth players in the squad. Right, let's have a look. We've got over 550 of you in the chat now, which is absolutely incredible. Please do smash a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and let's crack on with the rest of the show. I will read out some of your comments in the second half, so do get your questions in if you have anything you want to ask me, and I will happily bring them up. Okay, where are we? Let's talk about... Somebody saying I look like Amrabat again. Yeah, we've already had that one. Yeah. Right, let's read out this one. So, Fred says, do you think it's a negotiation tactic to say we need to sell, i.e. we don't have much money? Yeah, I think it is, but I also think at the same time it's a way of the Glazers not spending money. That's what I think it is. I think them saying we need to sell to buy is a lie. It is, because we have £200 million available on the company credit card. That's how we bought Anthony and Casemiro last year. That money's sitting there, that money's available, right? If we go out and spend £200 million today, we're not going to tomorrow be fined by financial fair play. That's not how it works. They look at a financial year. They look at April to April. We're nowhere near April. Everyone said, how the hell are Chelsea spending £500 million? Go and have a look at how much money Chelsea have made from sales this summer. They've probably almost balanced their books. They have. I think they've sold about £400 million worth of players. So my point here is, we don't need to sell to buy. We don't. We can buy players now as long as we do plan to sell them in the future. Does that make sense? So it's a little bit of a double-ended sword, you know? That's my take on it anyway, but let me know what you think in the comments section. I always do just think that the Glazers are just trying to suppress the fans. Everybody who doesn't everybody who doesn't care that much will just say, oh, we've got to sell to buy. They've told us we've got to sell to buy, which isn't actually the truth, is it? So yeah, that's my take on it. I do believe in financial fair play, but you know, I don't think I don't think it's as strict and as stringent as we're kind of being told, because ultimately Laurie Whitwell and Samuel Luckhurst have both discredited it today, saying Manchester United can spend the money as long as they balance the books by April next year, which is what? Nearly a year away. We've got the rest of this transfer window and the rest of January transfer window. So yeah, bit frustrating, but it is what it is. There's not really too much we can do about it. Stephen says, what do you think of the new Manchester United away shirt? I really, really like the away shirt. I do, but yeah, I will not be supporting any of the Manchester United kind of stuff, shirts, whatever, until the Glazers are gone. I know it's only a drop in the ocean. I know if I want something, I should buy it. But I've never bought the shirts from the Manchester United website, to be honest. Ever since the Glazers have been here, it's weird. It's kind of sad, but I just look at the Manchester United shirt and I just have a negative image towards it now. I just think of the Glazers. I just think of money. I don't think of the club I love. So I don't really want to wear it, to be completely honest with you. As I said many, many months ago or weeks ago, if the Glazers go, I will buy a shirt for myself, and I will buy a shirt for somebody in the chat as well. So do make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. My promise was on the video where the Glazers leave, if they ever do, I will give out a shirt to somebody. I will give out a shirt to somebody in the chat. So yeah, do make sure you have subscribed if you haven't already. Tommy says, Man United board has to back Erik ten Hag and signing Amrabat and Hojlund. Now, this is a really good question, actually. This is something that's going to get asked by rival fans all year. If our summer transfer window is Amrabat, Onana, Rasmus Højlund and Mason Mount, do you think Erik ten Hag has been backed fully? And do you think then, you know, rival fans can say to you, well, he's been backed, he should be winning the league? I'm not sure, to be completely honest with you. Obviously, he has had players bought for him, but when you look at the players that have gone as well, De Gea's gone. Okay, you need a replacement. Ronaldo's gone. We still don't have a replacement. I think even with those four players, I wouldn't actually say that he's been backed, to be completely honest with you. Yeah, I don't think so, personally. But let me know in the comments section, do you think if we sign those four players, we can say that Erik ten Hag has been backed? I mean, obviously he has been backed on a basic level, but I don't think he's been fully backed, because at the end of the day, the players he wanted, right? Let's rewind a month ago. This isn't me being negative. I've just been asked the question, so I'm just trying to answer it. If we go back a month ago, he wanted Harry Kane as his number one target. He wanted Kim Min-jae as his number one target. And he wanted Frankie de Jong, and he wanted Onana, right? So we've got Onana, and the other three players we don't have. I know Frankie de Jong, Kane, you could say, well, that's out of our hands. But Victor Osimhen, there are better people available than the players we're getting. That's what I'm kind of getting across. So ultimately, he has been backed in some sense, but he hasn't got his first choice options. He really, really hasn't. So yeah, I still think we'll make do. Not make do, that sounds bad. I think we'll still do well with the team we have with these new signings. I generally would say it's like a 5 or a 6 out of 10. But it's not like we're sat here saying we've just signed Kim Min-jae, Osimhen, Onana, and someone else. You know, it is all kind of our second or third choice signings. And the fact that we're all sat here saying, you know, getting really excited about Amrabat, who is a good player, but do you think Manchester City would sign Amrabat? I don't think they would. Do you think Arsenal would sign Amrabat? I don't think they would. Do you think Barcelona? I mean, do you get what I'm saying? Like, he is obviously a good player. He is a good player, but he's not a Frankie de Jong. He's not a Caicedo. So anyway, I don't know what's going on in the chat with Doodly Doo and somebody else, but Yeah, I mean, if you have a question, just put the letter Q and I'll try and read it. I think, Doodly Do, I think you were asking about when Rasmus Højlund was going to join the club, and we already spoke about this for about 10, 15 minutes at the beginning of the show. So if anybody is joining late, if anybody wants to know about Rasmus Højlund, just go back to the beginning and all will be revealed. I am conscious of repeating myself, and then it kind of annoys the people who've been here from the beginning. So yeah, we have spoke about Rasmus Højlund. If you rewind back to the beginning, you will find all of the information you want to know. Stefan says, as much as I like Mason Mount, do you think Bruno should be playing the number 10 or out on the wing? I believe Bruno should play a stronger position, which is the number 10. I don't like Bruno on the wing. I do not like seeing Bruno Fernandes on the wing. I really don't think he plays very well there for me personally. Bruno has to play in the number 10, or worst case scenario, he can drop back and play next to Casemiro. Bruno Fernandes does not work on the wing for me. We saw it a couple of times last season, didn't we? I'm not sure who it is who plays in the cam. Anyway, I don't know why we do it, but I really do not like seeing Bruno Fernandes play on the wing, to be completely honest with you. Yeah, but I don't know how to answer that question. I think in the Prem next season, we'll probably see Bruno as the cam and then Mason Mount next to Casemiro. That's what I think. And then when we're away against people like Liverpool and Arsenal and Manchester City, I think Amrabat will play next to Casemiro, and either Bruno or Mason Mount will play in the cam. That's what I think will probably happen. I would expect at most of the home games us to have a midfield three of Casemiro and Mason Mount, and then Bruno as the number 10. That's what I would personally do, because you don't want to see like we did last year where we had a 4-2-3-1 against kind of a Bournemouth at home. Somebody says, where do you think is the best position for Mason Mount? I mean, Mason Mount is a centre attacking midfielder, really, isn't he? So if it was me, if we're at home against like a lower table side, I would have Casemiro as the kind of defensive midfielder, the number 6, whatever you want to call it. I'd have Bruno and who's the other one? Bruno and Mason Mount as the more attacking two players. That's what I would do. But yeah, let me know in the comment section, where do you think Mason Mount's best position is? I think it has to be in an attacking midfielder position. I don't think he's that great defensively. Obviously, Casemiro is elite defensively. Yeah. Okay, so Joshua's saying Ten Hag put Weghorst as the cam and Bruno on the right for a couple of games. Yeah, that was it. I know it wasn't many games. I know people were saying in the chat like it was only a couple of games, but whenever Bruno was on the wing, we did not look very good, to be completely honest with you. Kieran Lumen says, if Frankie de Jong doesn't want to come, then what can we do? What can we do when Kane himself isn't sure what he wants? And with the South Korean defender, we all know Bayern had a stronger pulling power. I wouldn't say that Bayern had a stronger pulling power. I would say that because of all the takeover uncertainty, Manchester United was saying, we might not buy any players, we might be selling the club. You know, for the first kind of 2 weeks of the transfer window, everybody was saying, oh, we're not going to sign anyone because Manchester United is being sold. And everyone was kind of happy with that. I remember back in January, rival fans, I was complaining that we didn't sign anybody and that we got Weghorst on loan. And they were all saying, stop complaining, mate, stop complaining. You're going to be sold in a couple of months. That's why you're not buying anybody. And it's like, we're sat here 6 months later, we're still not sold, and we're still operating relatively slow in the transfer market. And the first couple of weeks of the transfer market, it very much was like, there's so much uncertainty. The club might be sold. They don't know how much money they can spend. The Glazers don't want to spend money because they might stay. There was all of this uncertainty, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't think we can say that Bayern Munich had a better pulling power than Manchester United. I don't believe that. I believe Manchester United do have a better pulling power than Bayern Munich. They were just in a better position at that point to get him to the club, weren't they? People asking about Zion Suzuki. The Zion Suzuki story has gone really, really quiet, to be completely honest with you. There was a couple of stories coming out saying that apparently he wants to stay in Japan because the Olympics is coming up next summer, and ultimately he doesn't want to sit on the bench for Manchester United because he worries that his game time, he ultimately would be thrown out of the Japanese side if he doesn't play every week, which I think is a fair point. I really, really do. But yeah, at the moment, Zion Suzuki has gone very, very quiet. And I honestly think that the reason this loan thing is happening with Dean Henderson is partly because Nottingham Forest won't pay the money up front, but also because Manchester United have in the back of their head that if, for some reason Onana gets injured, then I guess Manchester United could recall Dean Henderson from loan. So maybe that's kind of what they're thinking. Hopefully it means that Matis Kovar stays at the club. That again has gone very, very quiet, but he is somebody that I do like. For me personally, I would happily have Matis Kovar as the backup. I would. It doesn't look like he will be going back to Sparta Prague. He obviously was there last season, but he did do a post on his Instagram yesterday, Maciej Kovar, saying goodbye to the Sparta Prague fans, saying how much he appreciated what they've done for him, etc., and kind of confirmed that he would not be going back to Sparta Prague. So it might end up being that Maciej Kovar is our backup goalkeeper next season, which I have absolutely no issue with whatsoever. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I watch the Japanese league, because I don't. I've never seen this Zion Suzuki guy before. All of the compilations and stuff on YouTube I saw of him, I was quite excited about. But yeah, I would just as happily keep Maciej Kovar. You know, he's young. He just played first team football for Sparta Prague in the Czech league. They just won the league there. He's looked really, really good in pre-season. So for me, I would keep Maciej Kovar and I wouldn't bother with the new goalkeeper. But obviously, ultimately, it's up to Ten Hag. If he doesn't see you know, something in that player, then obviously he's more than welcome to let him go. That's up to him. Right, we've got about 10 minutes left of the show, guys, and we are 27 subscribers away from 6,800. So please go and subscribe really, really quickly. If you haven't subscribed already, go and subscribe, hit the notification bell, and please do smash a like on the video. We're about 10 likes away from our target for this video, so go and make sure you guys will do that really quickly now. Lumen says, Kieran, how was Onana against Real Madrid? So yeah, Onana last night was really, really good, I thought. It was just so refreshing to see a goalkeeper who can pass. Like, if you watch the game, he was literally most of the time when we had the ball between our goal and the halfway line. Absolutely crazy. He was wanting the ball. He was pinging it round. Really, really good. I saw a couple of people trolling on Twitter saying, oh, he got chipped in his first game and blah, blah, blah. I don't think either of the goals were his fault, to be completely honest with you. The first goal was offside and the second one was a bicycle kick. I mean, people saying, oh, David De Gea would have saved them. I mean, it's just ridiculous, isn't it? We have a debut of our new player and there's already people kind of trolling him. It's just like, come on, like, what is the point in the negativity? But yeah, in short, I thought he did really, really well. I thought he did really, really well last night, Onana. It was an absolute breath of fresh air for me. I don't think he made any mistakes, and I don't think either of the goals were his fault. But obviously, if you guys think differently, do let me know in the comment section. How did you rate Onana's performance last night for Manchester United? I thought he did a really good job for his debut, and I was really, really happy with it. So hats off to him. Irvin says, beside Hojlund, are we actually lined up for another striker? Although I already put Kane in the 90% club. To be completely honest with you, I don't want to upset you guys, but I reckon Rashford is the other striker this season. Obviously, we spoke about this earlier on in the show that Manchester United plan to use Rashford as a centre forward this year, as well as Rasmus Højlund. That was coming out from 2 or 3 different journalists. So I do think that the only other striker we'll have is Rashford as a striker. I don't think we will get another one at this point, to be completely honest with you. But you never know in football. You never know. Maybe Manchester United go on a mad one and go and get Harry Kane. You know, there is a possibility that can happen. Apparently, Bayern Munich are about to put in their 3rd bid for Harry Kane, which is apparently worth £80 million. So, I mean, if I'm Manchester United, right, and you see Bayern Munich putting in a bid of 100, I think it's 100 million euros, total package 100 million euros they're going to put in. You have to put in a bid. You have to. You can't let Harry Kane go to Bayern Munich without putting in a bid. You have to do it. So let's just hope that this does happen. For me, it's 100% essential that we get another striker. But I'm just worried after this briefing we got today saying that ultimately they think Manchester United are going to use Rashford as a striker. Yeah, I think we probably are just going to see Rashford and Højlund as the 2 strikers next season. And potentially, Jadon Sancho. People talking about McTominay as a false 9. I mean, yeah, it's a nice idea. McTominay has played as a striker for most of his career before Mourinho came into the club. But I don't know. I think if we can get 30, 40 million for McTominay, I think the best decision for him is to let him go, to be completely honest with you. I don't really see the point in keeping McTominay at the club. I don't really want to see him as a false 9, you know. We can get 30 or 40 million for him. By all means, try Jadon Sancho as a false 9, because we have to try and make Jadon Sancho work. At least try for one more season. Whereas Scott McTominay, he's come through the youth academy. It's 100% profit. I would not be playing Scott McTominay as a false 9 personally. But obviously, if you want to do that, guys, that's completely up to you. Right, I'm going to get a poll going. So whilst I get the poll going, please do make sure to smash a like on the video and subscribe. The poll will be with you in about 30 seconds. Yeah. Right, the poll's going to be, how much is Rasmus Højlund worth? Now, I know this one obviously creates quite a lot of debate, so I wanted to get it going because I want to get you guys' opinions. Right. Massive shouts to everybody who's here today, by the way, guys. Big ups to you all. We've had over 500 people watching for the whole video, which is absolutely incredible. So big ups to everybody in the chat. I've just got the poll going. So the question is, guys, how much is Højlund worth in euros? We've got 50 million, 60 million, 70 or 80. Let me know what you think. Let me know your reasons in the comment section. How much do you think Rasmus Højlund is worth? For anybody who's joining late, it does look like Manchester United will end up buying him for 70 million euros, okay? So just to get a bit of context, we look like we will pay 70 million euros. Sorry. We look like we will spend 70 million euros on the player, but I want to know how much you guys think he's worth. So do get involved in the poll. Do let me know in the comment section how much is Rasmus Højlund worth. Fred says, is there any truth that Bayern Munich are speaking to David De Gea? I did see that, yeah. I did see that Bayern Munich are linked to David De Gea. I mean, that will shut up all of the David De Gea haters, won't it? Because let's be honest, Bayern Munich are more likely to win the Champions League than Manchester United, aren't they? So David De Gea has ultimately been not thrown out of the club, but you know, a lot of the fans were very, very disrespectful to David De Gea. I have no issue with people not liking him, but I think some of the stuff we saw on Twitter was absolutely disgusting. It really, really was, to somebody who's been here for 12 years. And now if he signs for Bayern Munich, playing in the Champions League, I know we're in the Champions League, but let's be honest, we're not going to win it, are we? Bayern Munich are more likely to win the Champions League than us. So yeah, apparently he is in talks to go to Bayern Munich, which is interesting, yeah. There's a bit of a story as well. I know we just spoke about Matěj Kovar. Apparently he was up for sale and Manchester United wanted 7 million euros from Sparta Prague to sell Matěj Kovar, but ultimately Sparta Prague weren't willing to pay it. So that's why he's staying at the club. People were probably wondering what's going on with him. Manchester United were trying to sell him, but apparently Sparta Prague weren't even willing to spend 7 million euros on him, which is absolutely ridiculous, isn't it? Like, a player who's come through the Manchester United Academy, has just won the title in the Czech Republic League with them. They don't even want to spend 7 million euros on. And we're out there trying to get somebody who no one's ever heard of from the Japanese league for 5 million. Doesn't make any sense to me, but it is what it is. And it does look like Matěj Kovar will be staying at the club next season and he will be a Manchester United player, which I'm pretty happy about, to be completely honest with you. I do like him. Right. Yeah, okay. Richie says Greenwood back better than Højlund will ever be. The thing is with Mason Greenwood, all right, put all of the stuff behind. He hasn't played football for nearly a year and a half. Do people genuinely think that Mason Greenwood's going to come back and be scoring like... I mean, how many goals did he even score before? People make out that he's this player who's going to come in and score 20 goals a season for Manchester United. Like, I don't think he's ever even done that in his career, is he? I honestly don't think Mason Greenwood's the answer. I really, really don't. And I just don't understand the kind of... People, obviously you're entitled to your opinion, that's completely fine, and I'm going to respect it, but I just don't get why people are so obsessed about Mason Greenwood. They think that we have this Mbappe, you know, this Mbappe who's been thrown out of the team and he's going to come in and we're going to win the World Cup and we're going to win the Champions League and we'll win the Premier League, and like, you know, he hasn't played football since 2021, and in that season he got 5 goals in 18 matches. I mean, is that really that good? 5 goals in 18 matches? What is that average? So if he'd played all of the season, he would have, on average, got 10 goals in 38 matches. Is that great? I'm pretty sure Anthony got that, and people are saying he's a flop. So, you know, this person who is the golden boy for some people is going to save our season, going to save us, only got about the same amount of goals as what Anthony got last season. And some people in the fan base are saying that Anthony's a flop. I mean, it doesn't really add up to me, to be completely honest with you. It really, really doesn't. Putting all of the personal elements to it aside, which I can't be bothered to get into, but I just don't think that Mason Greenwood coming back is going to massively change anything, to be completely honest. I don't. But yeah. Obviously, if he comes back, then we can have that conversation. But as it stands, you know, a year and a half out of playing football, and let me have a look at what his best ever season was. So in his best season for Manchester United, he got 7 goals and 2 assists in 31 matches. So he averaged a goal or an assist every 3 games. So his stats are worse than Højlund's. I mean, what do all the people in the chat think about that? Mason Greenwood's best ever season, his stats are worse than Højlund's. So I don't know. You know, if he comes back, we can obviously have that conversation. But I just don't think that. I just don't think he's going to come back and it's going to make a huge amount of difference, because he hasn't played professional football for a year. So I get some people want him. That's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. But in my opinion, if I'm just looking at it from a footballing perspective, I honestly don't think he's going to make that much difference at this point. Maybe 2 or 3 years down the line, he might do, but at the moment, I don't. Stefan says Mason needs a year loan and then see where he is. Yeah, I do agree with you. Yeah. I do agree. But yeah, there's so many people who want him back, and that's obviously completely fine. That's your decision. I can't tell you what to think about that particular situation. But for me, when you actually look at his stats, he was a player I really, really liked. I do think he's a generational talent. I do think he's someone who could have gone on to be a really, really special player. But of the 2 seasons where he played, yeah, he averaged about 10 goals in 30 matches, which I guess isn't too bad off the wing. It is quite good stats, isn't it? But yeah, anyway, I just don't think that he's the answer that everybody's looking for. People asking about Kobbie Mainoo. Unfortunately, we haven't had any updates on the Kobbie Mainoo injury. Obviously, he did leave the ground yesterday in with a kind of a boot on his leg and in crutches. Yeah, obviously, as soon as we get the confirmation on what's happened to Kobbie Mainoo, of course, we will bring it to you. But as it stands, nobody seems to know. We do hope that he's okay, of course. And yeah, we will let you know as soon as we get that bit of information. Right, we've got 5 minutes left of the show, guys. So do get your questions in and I will read out as many as possible. And please do smash a like on the video and please do subscribe to the channel. I've just dropped a link in the chat to subscribe if you haven't already. We're now 22 subscribers away from 68. So let's hit that by the end of the video, guys. Go and hit subscribe really, really quickly and let's crack on. All right, let's read out a couple of your questions. Amnat says, Kieran, I think Erik ten Hag will definitely use Greenwood. He keeps it secret. That's why everything else is quiet. Your thoughts? Yeah, I mean, it is a possibility, isn't it? It is very, very quiet around Mason Greenwood. There is a chance that he comes back. There is. But I honestly think that he'll go out on loan this season. I do. That's my opinion. I think that's the best for him. Send him out on loan. Send him out on loan. Help him build up some confidence again. Get him back playing football. And then we can kind of reevaluate where we are in about a year's time. Stephen says, do you think Fred is underrated? Not really. I think he's average, to be completely honest with you. I don't really rate Fred that much. Like, I won't be sad at all if Fred leaves the club. Like, he tries hard. He's not a bad player, but he's not like a starting player for Manchester United for me personally. I wouldn't say he's underrated. I'd say he's kind of fairly rated. Fred says, well done for discussing Greenwood. A lot of channels are not. Big up, Kieran. Well, I'm always happy to discuss stuff. I know, like, you know, I'm not going to... Yeah, I try and not give my own personal opinions on stuff. I'm happy to talk about it from a footballing perspective, no problem. But yeah. Hendrik says, how many goals do you think Antony will score this season? That's a really good question. Let me ask that back to the chat. How many goals do you think Antony will score this season for Manchester United? Let me know in the comment section below. Last season he played 25 games in the Premier League and scored 4 goals and got 2 assists. Across the whole season, he got 10 goals in 47 matches. I would expect from Antony this season at least 15 to 20 goals across all competitions. That's what I would like to see from him. I think anything less than that, then I will start to be getting a little bit worried. All we can ask from our players is to see improvement year on year, okay? He scored 10 goals last season. Let's see him score 15 to 20 this year. If he does that, then it shows he's improving, isn't it? He's only 21, I believe. 23 he is. He's only 23. If he can get 15 to 20 goals this season, I'll be really, really happy with that. Any more would be absolutely amazing, but I think 15 to 20 is probably realistic considering he got 10 last season. And, you know, at the end of the day, he did get some really important goals for us. He did. So I think 15 is my kind of benchmark for Antony this season. But do let me know in the comment section, how many goals will Antony get for Manchester United this season? Right. This feels like a really, really good point to wrap up the video. We've gone through all of the news. If anybody did join late, please do kind of rewind back to the beginning and catch up. Massive, massive shouts to everybody who's watched today. We will be back, of course, tomorrow at 8 a.m. UK time for another show. So please, on your way out, smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel if you're new. Massive shouts to everybody who's joined us this evening. We've had some really, really great conversation. I'll catch you guys later. Lots of love and peace out.